Imagine this. You wake up one morning, the sunlight streaming through your window, and for a moment, everything feels still. But then, like a shadow creeping into the edges of your consciousness, you feel it, a familiar ache, a gnawing sense of déjà vu. You've been here before, not just in this room, not just in this moment, but in this pattern. The same mistakes, the same regrets, the same choices that lead you down paths you swore you'd never walk again. And yet, here you are, again. You tell yourself it's different this time. You've learned your lesson. You've grown. But deep down, you know the truth. You're trapped in a cycle, a loop you can't seem to escape. You've tried everything. Self-help books, therapy, mantras, promises to yourself written in bold letters on sticky notes. But no matter how hard you try, you keep stumbling over the same invisible hurdles, falling into the same emotional traps, repeating the same destructive behaviors. Why? Why do we keep repeating the same mistakes, even when we know better? Why do we sabotage our own happiness, our own growth, our own potential? It's a question that haunts us, not just as individuals, but as a species. We are creatures of progress, yet we are also prisoners of repetition. We build rockets to explore the stars, yet we can't seem to escape the gravitational pull of our own past. This is the paradox of human existence. We are both the architects of our destiny and the captives of our patterns. We yearn for freedom, yet we cling to familiar. We dream of transformation, yet we resist change. And so, we find ourselves caught in a tug-of-war between who we are and who we could become. But what if the problem isn't that we're failing to change? What if the problem is that we don't truly understand what's keeping us stuck? What if the mistakes we keep repeating aren't just random errors but clues, pointing us towards something deeper, something hidden within ourselves? Carl Jung, the pioneering psychologist, once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." These words cut to the heart of the matter. What if the mistakes we keep making aren't accidents of fate, but manifestations of something buried within us, something we refuse to face, something we've been running from all along? Imagine standing in front of a mirror, not just any mirror, but one that reflects not your face, but your soul. What would you see? Would you see the person you become, shaped by your choices and experiences? Or would you see the person you've always been, shaped by forces you don't fully understand? This is a great question. What lies beneath the surface of your mistakes? What unconscious forces are driving your actions, your decisions, your life? And more importantly, how do you break free from them? The answer, as you might suspect, is not simple. It's not a quick fix or a 5-step plan. It's a journey, a descent into the depth of your own psyche, a confrontation with the parts of yourself you've ignored, denied, or forgotten. It's a reckoning with the shadows that lurk in the corners of your mind, the patterns that have shaped your life without your consent. But here's the thing. This journey is not just about understanding why you keep repeating the same mistakes. It's about discovering who you truly are beneath the layers of conditioning, fear, and habit. It's about reclaiming the parts of yourself you've lost along the way. It's about breaking free from the cycle and stepping into a new way of being. So, as you stand at the edge of this realization, ask yourself, are you ready to face what lies beneath? Are you ready to confront the forces that have been shaping your life in ways you never fully understood? Are you ready to break free from the loop and step into the unknown? The journey begins now. But be warned, what you discover may change everything. Welcome to Socratic Lens, where we dive deep into the intricacies of psychology, philosophy, and the human experience. I'm Adam, and I'm thrilled to have you join us on this journey of inquiry and self-discovery. If you find value in exploring profound ideas and challenging societal norms, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Now, let's begin. Let's start by discussing the hidden problem and its psychological and philosophical roots. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast, dark forest. You know this forest well. You've wandered its paths countless times before. Each time, you've promised yourself it would be different. You've brought a map, a compass, even a flashlight. But no matter how prepared you think you are, you always end up lost, circling back to the same clearing, the same mistakes, the same regrets. Why does this keep happening? Why does the forest always win? The answer lies not in the forest itself, but in something far more elusive, the unconscious mind. Carl Jung believed that the unconscious is not just a repository of forgotten memories or random impulses, but a living, breathing force that shapes our thoughts, emotions, and actions in ways we rarely understand. It's like an invisible hand, guiding us down familiar paths, even when those paths lead to pain. But here's the unsettling truth. The unconscious doesn't just influence us, it protects us. It clings to patterns, even destructive ones, because they feel safe. They're familiar, they're known, and in a world that inherently uncertain, the known, no matter how painful, feels better than the unknown. This is a hidden problem. We are not just creatures of habit. We are creatures of comfort. Even when our habits hurt us, they provide a perverse sense of security. They give us the illusion of control. And so, we repeat the same mistakes, not because we're stupid or weak, but because, on some level, we're afraid of what might happen if we stopped. Think about it. Have you ever stayed in a relationship long after it turned toxic because the thought of being alone was too terrifying? Have you ever clung to a job that drained your soul because the idea of stepping into the unknown felt paralyzing? Have you ever sabotaged your own success because deep down you didn't believe you deserve it? These are not just mistakes. They are coping mechanisms. They are ways of protecting ourselves from the existential terror of uncertainty, failure, and change. But here's the paradox. In trying to protect ourselves, we end up trapping ourselves. We become prisoners of our own fear. This is where philosophy and psychology converge. Friedrich Nietzsche once wrote, "Invisible threads are the strongest ties." What he meant is that the forces that bind us are often the ones we can't see. They are the beliefs, fears, and assumptions we've internalized without question. They are the stories we tell ourselves about who we are and what we're capable of. For example, if you grew up believing that you're not good enough, that belief becomes an invisible thread, woven into the fabric of your identity. It influences every decision you make, every risk you take, every relationship you pursue. And because it's unconscious, you don't even realize it's there. You just keep repeating the same patterns, wondering why nothing ever changes. This is the power of the unconscious. It operates below the surface, shaping our lives in ways we can't fully comprehend. And until we bring it into the light, until we confront the beliefs and fears that drive us, we will remain trapped in the same cycles, making the same mistakes, wandering the same forest. But here's the twist. The unconscious is not just a prison. It's also a portal. It contains not only the patterns that hold us back, but also the potential for transformation. Jung called this a shadow, the parts of ourselves we disowned, repressed, or denied. These are the parts we're afraid to face, the parts we've buried because they don't fit with the image we want to project to the world. But the shadow is not our enemy. It's our teacher. It holds the key to our growth, our freedom, our wholeness. By confronting the shadow, by integrating the parts of ourselves we've rejected, we can break free from the patterns that have been holding us back. This is the deeper truth. The mistakes we keep repeating are not just random errors. They are messages. They are clues, pointing us toward the part of ourselves we need to heal, the beliefs we need to challenge, the fears we need to face. So, as you stand at the edge of the forest, ask yourself, what are your mistakes trying to tell you? What patterns have you been clinging to, not because they serve you, but because they feel safe? What parts of yourself have you been afraid to face? The answers may not come easily. They may require courage, vulnerability, and a willingness to step into the unknown. But remember, the forest is not your enemy. It's your mirror, and the only way out is through. So, what are the unseen consequences? Well, imagine this. You're walking through a city you've lived in for years. You know every street, every corner, every shortcut. But one day, you notice something strange. The streets seem narrower, the buildings taller, the sky darker. You feel a sense of unease, as if the city itself is closing in on you. You try to shake it off, but the feeling lingers. It's not the city that's changed, it's you. This is what happens when we live in the grip of unconscious patterns. The world around us becomes a reflection of our inner world, shaped by the beliefs, fears, and assumptions we've internalized. And because these forces operate below the surface, we don't even realize they're there. We think we're seeing reality, but what we're really seeing is a projection of our own mind. This is the unseen consequence of repeating the same mistakes. It narrows our world. It limits our perception, our possibilities, our potential. We become trapped in a feedback loop where our actions reinforce our beliefs and our beliefs reinforce our actions. And over time, this loop becomes a prison we don't even know we're in. Take, for example, the belief that you're not good enough. If you hold this belief unconsciously, it will shape every aspect of your life. You'll avoid taking risks because you're afraid of failure. You'll settle for less than you deserve because you don't believe you're worthy of more. You'll sabotage your own success because deep down, you don't think you're capable of it. And the more you act on this belief, the more it becomes reinforced. You fail, not because you're incapable, but because you didn't even try. You settle, not because you're unworthy, but because you didn't believe you deserved better. And so, the cycle continues, narrowing your world, limiting your potential, trapping you in a reality of your own making. But the consequences go even deeper. When we live in the grip of unconscious patterns, we not only limit ourselves, we also limit others. We project our fears, our insecurities, our unresolved wounds onto the people around us. We see in them what we refuse to see in ourselves. And in doing so, we create relationships that are based not on love and connection, but on fear and control. This is a hidden cost of repeating the same mistakes. It distorts our relationships. It creates dynamics that are toxic, codependent, or emotionally draining. And because these dynamics are rooted in the unconscious, we don't even realize they're there. We think we're choosing our partners, our friends, our colleagues, but in reality, we're being driven by forces we don't fully understand. And then there's a societal impact. When enough people live in the grip of unconscious patterns, it creates a culture of repetition, a culture where the same mistakes are made over and over again on a collective scale. We see this in history, where societies repeat the same cycles of violence, oppression, and self-destruction. We see it in politics, where the same ideologies, the same conflicts, the same mistakes are recycled endlessly. This is the power of the unconscious. It shapes not only our individual lives, but also our collective reality. And until we confront it, until we bring it into the light, we will remain trapped in the same cycles, both personally and collectively. But here's the thing, the unconscious is not just a force of limitation. It's also a force of potential. It contains not only the patterns that hold us back, but also the seeds of transformation. By confronting the unconscious, by bringing its contents into the light, we can break free from the cycles that have been shaping our lives. This is a journey of individuation, as Jung called it. The process of becoming who we truly are beneath the layers of conditioning, fear, and habit. It's a journey that requires courage, vulnerability, and a willingness to face the parts of ourselves we've been afraid to see. But the rewards are immense. By confronting the unconscious, we not only free ourselves from the patterns that have been holding us back, we also open ourselves to new possibilities, new ways of being, new ways of relating to the world. So, as you walk through the city of your life, ask yourself, what patterns have been shaping your reality? What beliefs have been limiting your potential? What fears have been distorting your relationships? The answers may not come easily. They may require you to step into the unknown, to face the parts of yourself you've been afraid to see. But remember, the city is not your enemy. It's your mirror, and the only way out is through. Now, let's discuss a rebellion and how to break free from the patterns. Imagine this. You're standing at the edge of a cliff, the wind whipping around you, the ground crumbling beneath your feet. Behind you is the forest, the familiar, the known, the patterns that have shaped your life. Ahead of you is the abyss, the unknown, the uncertain, the possibility of something new. You know you can't stay where you are. The ground is giving way, but the thought of jumping, of stepping into the void, fills you with terror. This is the moment of rebellion. This is the moment when you decide to break free from the patterns that have been holding you back. It's not an easy decision. It requires courage, vulnerability, and a willingness to face the unknown. But it's also the only way to escape the cycle, to step into a new way of being. So, how do you do it? How do you break free from the unconscious forces that have been shaping your life? The first step is awareness. You can't change what you don't see. And so, the journey begins with simple but profound act, paying attention. Start by observing your thoughts, your emotions, your behaviors. Notice the patterns that keep repeating. Notice the beliefs that underlie them. Notice the fears that drive them. This is not an easy task. The unconscious is called unconscious for a reason. It operates below the surface, outside of our awareness. But by bringing curiosity and compassion to your inner world, you can begin to shine a light on the shadows. Carl Jung called this process shadow work. It involves confronting the parts of ourselves we've disowned, repressed, or denied. These are the parts we're afraid to face, the parts we've buried because they don't fit with the image we want to project to the world. But here's the thing, the shadow is not our enemy. It's our teacher. It holds the key to our growth, our freedom, our wholeness. By confronting the shadow, by integrating the parts of ourselves we've rejected, we can break free from the patterns that have been holding us back. The second step is acceptance. Once you become aware of the patterns, the beliefs, the fears that have been shaping your life, the next step is to accept them. This doesn't mean resigning yourself to them. It means acknowledging them without judgment, without resistance, without shame. This is where many people get stuck. We're so used to judging ourselves, to criticizing ourselves, to trying to fix ourselves, that the idea of accepting ourselves, flaws and all, feels foreign, even dangerous. But acceptance is not the same as complacency. It's the foundation of transformation. As Carl Jung once said, what you resist persists. When we resist our shadow, when we try to push it away or deny its existence, it only grows stronger. But when we accept it, when we bring it into the light, it loses its power over us. The third step is action. Awareness and acceptance are essential, but they're not enough. To break free from the cycle, you need to take action. You need to make different choices, to take different risks, to step into the unknown. This is where the real rebellion begins. It's one thing to understand your patterns intellectually. It's another thing to act against them. It requires courage, vulnerability, and a willingness to face the discomfort of change. But here's the good news. You don't have to do it alone. One of the most powerful tools for breaking free from unconscious patterns is relationship. By connecting with others, whether through therapy, mentorship, or deep, authentic friendships, you can gain new perspectives, new insights, new support. This is why Jung placed such a strong emphasis on the concept of the collective unconscious. He believed that we are all connected, that we all share the same archetypes, the same patterns, the same potential for transformation. And by tapping into this collective wisdom, we can find the strength and the guidance we need to break free. Finally, the fourth step is integration. Breaking free from unconscious patterns is not a one-time event. It's an ongoing process. It requires you to continually bring awareness, acceptance, and action to your inner world, to continually confront the shadows, to continually step into the unknown. But over time, something remarkable happens. The patterns that once held you back begin to lose their power. The beliefs that once limited you begin to shift. The fears that once paralyzed you begin to dissolve. And in their place, something new emerges, a sense of wholeness, of freedom, of possibility. This is the ultimate goal of the rebellion. Not just to break free from the cycle, but to step into a new way of being. It's a journey that requires courage, vulnerability, and a willingness to face the unknown. But it's also a journey that holds a promise of transformation, of growth, of becoming who you truly are. So, as you stand at the edge of the cliff, ask yourself, are you ready to jump? Are you ready to step into the unknown, to face the discomfort of change, to embrace the possibility of something new? The choice is yours. The rebellion begins now. And now, in the final part of this video, we'll discuss the ultimate truth, the final, most powerful realization. Imagine this. You've jumped. The ground has fallen away. The wind is rushing past you. And for a moment, you're suspended in midair, caught between the past and the future. Your heart is pounding. Your mind is racing, and every instinct is screaming at you to go back, to cling to familiar, to retreat into the safety of a known. But it's too late. There's no going back. And then something extraordinary happens. As you fall, you realize that you're not falling at all. You're flying. The abyss that once seemed so terrifying is now a vast, open sky filled with infinite possibilities. The patterns that once held you back are now just distant memories, fading into horizon. And the person you once were, the person who was trapped in the cycle, who kept repeating the same mistakes, who was afraid to step into the unknown, that person is gone. In their place is someone new, someone free, someone whole. This is the ultimate truth. The mistakes you've been repeating, the patterns you've been trapped in, the fears you've been running from, they were never a problem. They were the path. They were the clues, the signposts, the breadcrumbs leading you to this moment. Carl Jung once said, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." This is the essence of the journey. It's not about erasing the past or escaping the patterns. It's about transforming them. It's about taking the raw material of your life, the mistakes, the regrets, the pain, and alchemizing it into something new. This is a final, most powerful realization. You are not your patterns. You are not your mistakes. You are not your past. You are the consciousness that observes them, the awareness that transcends them, the potential that exists beyond them. And this potential is infinite. Think about it. Every mistake you've ever made, every pattern you've ever repeated, every fear you've ever faced, they've all been leading you here. They've all been teaching you, shaping you, preparing you for this moment. And now, as you stand on the threshold of a new way of being, you can see them for what they truly are, not obstacles, but opportunities. This is a paradox of transformation. The very things that once held you back are the keys to your freedom. The mistakes you've been repeating are the lessons you needed to learn. The patterns you've been trapped in are the cocoon from which you're emerging. And the fears you've been running from are the gateways to your deepest growth. But here's the thing. This realization is not the end of the journey. It's the beginning. Breaking free from unconscious patterns is not a one-time event. It's a lifelong process. It requires you to continually bring awareness, acceptance, and action to your inner world, to continually confront the shadows, to continually step into the unknown. And yet, there's a profound shift that happens when you realize the truth. The journey is not about escaping the patterns. It's about embracing them. It's about seeing them as part of the larger tapestry of your life, as threads in the fabric of your becoming. This is the ultimate freedom, not the absence of patterns, but the ability to transcend them, not the absence of fear, but the courage to face it, not the absence of mistakes, but the wisdom to learn from them. So, as you stand on the threshold of this new way of being, ask yourself, what will you do with this freedom? How will you use it to create a life that's authentic, meaningful, and true to who you are? The choice is yours. The journey continues. And as you take your first steps into this new reality, remember this. You are not alone. You are part of a larger whole, a collective consciousness that's also on this journey, also seeking freedom, also striving to become. This is a final truth. The journey is not just about you. It's about all of us. It's about breaking free from the patterns that have been shaping our lives, our relationships, our world. It's about stepping into a new way of being, not just as individuals, but as a species. And so, as you fly through the vast, open sky of possibility, remember this. You are not just breaking free for yourself. You are breaking free for all of us. The journey is yours. The freedom is yours. The sky is yours. Now go. If you found this video insightful, please leave a like to support our channel and help us reach more people. And if this is your first time here, be sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our new videos. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay curious.